Okay, you've probably read about Buddha. Maybe you've tried meditation, right? But here's the uncomfortable truth, and I mean this genuinely. 99% of us are completely missing what Buddha was actually trying to teach. And it's not because the teachings are complicated, it's because we're looking in all the wrong places. I spent 3 years studying Buddhism, reading books, watching videos, collecting knowledge, and I was making every single mistake I'm about to show you. My practice went nowhere. I was frustrated, confused, and ready to quit. Then I realized something. I wasn't practicing Buddhism. I was studying it. Huge difference. So today, we're breaking down the first 4 mistakes that keep people trapped in their heads instead of actually transforming their lives. And if you've been meditating for months with no real progress, this is probably why. Let's go. Mistake 1. Seeking metaphysics over method. The biggest mistake, and I see this constantly, is treating Buddhism like philosophy homework. People act like it's an intellectual puzzle to solve. But when Buddha taught, he wasn't asking us to figure out the ultimate nature of reality. He didn't care whether the self is eternal or temporary. He wasn't interested in solving cosmic riddles. Look at his very first sermon, the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta. He laid it out, the 4 noble truths, not 4 cosmic mysteries, but 4 truths about suffering and how to end it. There is suffering. Suffering has a cause. Suffering can end. Here's the path to end it. Here's your problem. Here's what causes it. Here's the solution. And here's the method to get there. That's it. But modern people ask questions like, is there a soul? What happens after death? Does God exist? Buddhism doesn't ignore these questions. It sidesteps them. There's a word for this, papanka, conceptual proliferation. It's mental noise that distracts you from the actual work. Imagine your house is on fire. You don't debate the chemistry of combustion. You get out. Buddha saw human suffering exactly like that. A house on fire. And he gave us the exit route. Here's the test. Are you spending more time reading about Buddhism than actually sitting in meditation? If yes, you're making this mistake. I did this for years. The mistake is treating the teachings like metaphysics, like they're grand theories about reality. But the reality is, it's a method, it's a path, step-by-step, practical instructions for ending your own suffering. That's what he offered. Mistake 2, mistaking knowledge for realization. This one hits harder because it feels like progress. You can memorize the Dhamma all you want, but that's not understanding. There's a massive difference between intellectual knowledge and lived experience. You can read about hunger your whole life, study nutrition, read every memoir, but until you actually feel hunger in your belly, you don't understand hunger. You only know about it. I could recite anicca, dukkha, anatta perfectly. I knew the definitions. I could explain them to others. But when I got angry at someone cutting me off in traffic, where was that knowledge? Nowhere. It was just words in my head, not wisdom in my body. You can memorize impermanence. You can memorize suffering and non-self. But until you observe these truths in your own body and mind, they're just labels. They're not real to you. A map isn't the country. Reading a recipe for chocolate cake is not the same as tasting one. Real understanding comes from direct observation. Buddha was explicit. Practitioners must verify the teaching through their own practice, not through belief or study, but through doing. This isn't meant to be memorized and recited. It's meant to be realized. You observe your body, feelings, perceptions, mental formations, consciousness, and see that none of these are me. None are permanent. None are truly in your control. So here's a practical challenge. Take one teaching, say impermanence. Don't read more about it. Sit for 10 minutes and watch your breath. Notice how each breath is different. Notice how sensations arise and pass. Notice how thoughts come and go. That's experiencing impermanence, not studying it. Mistake 3. Clinging to identity and opinion. This is where it gets personal. It's why most people stop practicing. When your views become part of who you are, when they become your identity, the teachings start to feel like a threat. I'm a Buddhist. I believe in non-self. My practice is enlightenment-focused. These statements sound wise, but they're traps. Beautiful traps. If we grasp even the correct teachings as mine, we miss the point. The teaching isn't meant to become another identity. It's meant to liberate you from identity. So when you say, I'm a Buddhist practitioner, you've trapped yourself. When you cling to the view, there is no self. You've created a subtle self around that view. The irony is obvious. That's why some people practice for years and still carry arrogance, judgment, and spiritual ego. They've made Buddhism into their personal brand. Do not cling to views. Do not cling to opinions. Even hold the teachings lightly. Here's the test. Someone challenges your understanding. What happens? If there's ego, you feel threatened. Anger shows up. You get defensive. I caught myself doing this in a meditation group. Someone questioned my understanding, and I felt my chest tighten and my jaw clench. I wanted to prove I was right. That's when I realized I'd turned the teaching into my teaching. The ego had hijacked the practice. That's the signal, the red flag. You've turned this into identity, made it about you, not about truth. Real practice is humble, not defensive. It says, these teachings point to truth, not me. Let me keep investigating. Let me stay open. That's the practice. Mistake 4, skipping ethics. This one surprises people, but it's non-negotiable. Many people jump straight to meditation, skipping the foundation of sila, ethical conduct. Then they wonder why their practice doesn't deepen, why their mind stays agitated, why meditation feels like wrestling with thoughts instead of watching them pass. Buddha taught a progression. Virtue leads to non-remorse. Non-remorse leads to joy. Joy leads to rapture. Rapture leads to tranquility. Tranquility leads to concentration. Concentration leads to clear seeing. When you break the 5 precepts, killing, stealing, lying, abusing substances, harming people sexually, your nervous system knows. Your brain releases stress, guilt registers, remorse becomes background noise. A guilty mind can't concentrate. It can't relax. It's like trying to meditate while someone is shouting at you. You can't do it. The 5 precepts are simple. No killing, no stealing, no lying, no substances that cloud the mind, no sexual misconduct. I tested this. I kept the precepts carefully for 30 days, not perfectly, but with real intention. By week 2, something shifted. I slept better. There was lightness in my chest. My mind during meditation wasn't fighting itself. It was like someone turned down the volume on the background noise. Keep the precepts. Something shifts. Not because you're trying to be good, but because your nervous system isn't in threat detection mode. That's when concentration happens. That's when the mind becomes clear. So here's your challenge. Choose one precept you struggle with. Maybe it's lying, even small, subtle lies. For the next 7 days, commit to complete honesty. Notice what happens in your mind. Notice how it affects your meditation. So we've covered the 4 traps that keep you stuck in your head, treating Buddhism as philosophy instead of practice, collecting knowledge instead of realizing truth, turning teachings into identity, skipping the ethical foundation. If you fix these 4, your practice will transform. But there's a second category of mistakes, the ones that appear when you're actually practicing, the subtle traps that show up on the cushion in daily life, in how you relate to meditation itself. In part 2, we're diving into the practice mistakes, wanting quick results, treating meditation as technique, cherry-picking the comfortable parts, and confusing teachings with the teacher. These are the mistakes I made after I started practicing seriously, and they cost me years. If this resonated with you, hit subscribe because part 2 drops in 2 days and you don't want to miss it. If you found yourself in any of these 4 mistakes, leave a comment telling me which one hit home. I read everyone. Drop a comment right now. I'm guilty of mistake number. Being honest with yourself, that's where the practice begins. Oh, and in part 2, I'm sharing the one mistake that almost made me quit Buddhism entirely. It's mistake 7. And if you're cherry-picking the comfortable teachings while avoiding the uncomfortable ones, you're probably making it. See you in part 2. May your practice deepen.